أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. So last week we started discussing the 27th chapter, the story of Sulaiman. We made an introduction, but going back home I realized that the voice was very bad for the online, so I apologize for that. Although we started from the beginning last time, today I would like to, so last week it was from first verse until 19. So this verse, if you don't mind, I will start from 15 to 19, make a quick pass from there, and then continue.
What surah is this?
So this is Surah Naml, so chapter 27. So at the beginning of the chapter it was mentioning so there was a major focus of messengers, prophethood, and the message. So before we dive any further into the topic, I would like to first talk a little bit, a very quick recap about what is prophet, why a prophet is necessary, or is it necessary in the first place? Because the person that we're discussing in this story, Sulaiman, is King Solomon. He's a king, but he's a prophet, which changes the description totally. And it's also going to change the way we will read the story as well. Because when you think about a king, what do kings do generally? They just conquer somewhere, go, if they are stronger than some other country, they go and demolish the kingdom over there, take it over and expand their territories. And this is most of the time, if not always, for the sake of more power.
Or democracy.
Or democracy, yeah. So, but when it comes to prophets, what is prophet in the first place? Because this person that we are talking about in here is a prophet. So, in our discussion so far, we mentioned a lot that looking at the universe, the existence itself, it's not too hard to come to the conclusion that this cannot happen by itself, because everything in this existence is so interrelated and it's being updated and renewed every moment, as if every single frame of this universe, the life that I'm living, is being hand-drawn. There must be a source, a creator, who is creating every single moment individually. It's not that the previous moment creates the next. So it's good. I come to the conclusion that there must be a God in this sense, meaning some absolute source of existence, which is not like anything in here that I'm experiencing. But then I have tons of questions. Why is he creating me? Why am I here? What is the purpose in this existence? Why is this constant change? And there's death in front of me. What am I supposed to make sense of? And so tons of questions out there. Maybe with my intellect or with my own observation, I can barely come to the conclusion that there must be a God, but going beyond that is almost impossible. I can come up with some speculations, but it's been very hard to get the complete picture. And unless that one tells me what he means by this existence, how am I going to understand what he means by it? At this point, I am now being in need of my maker talk to me. Because the speech that I'm right now speaking is also being given to me. So my maker should talk to me. I am in need of guidance, and this is how this chapter was starting. In the beginning of the chapter, Musa was in darkness, Moses was in darkness, but he was expecting some sort of a guidance. And from far he saw a fire, and he said to his family, I should go there, bring some fire or news to you so that we can find our way in this darkness. So we are expecting a guidance. But just the guidance itself is not being enough either. Because if the guidance is in the form of knowledge only, like speech only, how am I going to, like, human is not only consisting of intellect anyways. I am also in need of being able to relate to this message. So I am in need of a human such as me to interpret, explain the meaning of this speech in the human domain. So he should be thinking, living, acting, or having a state, personal, if you like, peace, and be a guidance to me through life as well. Such a person or such people must exist, which are the prophets. So for my guidance, I am in need of speech of God, and also the guidance through human messengers. And the messengers in this case are supposed to be the people who embodies the message in human form. And this is how, in one of the famous narrations, wife of prophet describes prophet as Qur'an, the speech was his character. And this is a very beautiful description of messengerhood in general. So the scripture must be the character of messengers. Otherwise it would be like they are not walking their talk. Like their talk in this case being God's speech, but God's speech is entrusted on them, and they are by definition supposed to be the people who live by it, because I'm in need of a teacher. Now that we established this description of messenger, what would be the fight of a messenger? Would a messenger fight for gaining power? What would be the domain of fight for the messenger? Because in the story at the beginning of this chapter, it was Musa trying to get to light. So the light is what messengers and message represents. It should be enlightening me, saving me from darkness. And as I'm living in some sort of darkness might be, I might be having troubles in life. I might be going through hardships. These are all darkness, or something bad is happening and I'm not able to make sense of. These are all darknesses that we are going through in life, right? So the messenger must be the one who is going to save me from this darkness. This must be the fight of messenger. Messengers fight against meaninglessness of life. Because darkness is, why am I going through this hardship? If we think carefully about it, it means it doesn't make any sense. Why did I have this car accident? Why did I get rejected from this job application? It doesn't make any sense. I was the best candidate. I cannot understand why these sort of things are always finding me. Why not to this guy but me, right? So these are darknesses that we go through, and the messenger should be fighting to disperse this darkness. This must be the fight of messenger. Otherwise, a messenger, by definition, cannot be like just another king out there, another community leader who is trying for the betterment of their life quality in the sense of better income, better food, this and that. So if the darkness of meaninglessness is not dispersed, who cares if I am eating baklava every day? Because although my tongue is tasting the best food, still my mind and heart is just being crushed by all those meaninglessness. So, having defined messenger in this sense, and anything that you would like to add so far for this picture of messenger, if it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense. So far, so good? So, now we are going to talk about a messenger who is also a king. And we are going to interpret it in a way that the fight of this messenger will be against darkness. It's not going to be against this king trying to take over another land. And if we go with some historical stories, and also you can read this text as such as well, we will see a very strong king who is threatening another kingdom to destroy them. Well, that's true. So this is the first verse that I'd like to start from today. So وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا دَاوُودَ وَسُلَيْمَانَ عِلْمًا وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي فَضَّلَنَا عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So, and indeed, we granted knowledge unto David and Solomon, and both were wont to say, all praise is due to God, who has thus favored us above many of his believing servants. So in this one, last week when we were discussing this verse, so those two people are given knowledge, and they're acknowledging that they are given knowledge. This is an important part. It's not that they are saying, we have knowledge, or we found knowledge. They are not saying that. But instead, they are saying that we are given knowledge, and the praise, because something good, let's say you cooked a good food, and cooking good food is something praiseworthy. Who are you going to praise? In this case, there is knowledge. Those two people that are being mentioned in here, let's say they are knowledgeable people. So shall they just ignore the knowledge, or since it's something praiseworthy, who is going to be praised for that? They say all praise is due to God, which implies there's definitely something praiseworthy here, but it doesn't belong to us. So don't praise me for what you're observing here. وورث سليمان داود وقال يا أيها الناس علمنا منطق الطير وأوتينا من كل شيء إن هذا لهو الفضل المبين. So this, we are now starting to enter into the story. So Solomon was truly David's heir, and last time we talked about what this means. The prophetic mission is being inherited. It's not like a kingdom of power is being inherited, but the prophetic mission is being inherited, which is fighting against meaninglessness. So Solomon says, "O you people, we have been taught the speech of birds and have been given of all things. This, behold, is indeed a manifest favor from God." We will see this pattern in the second part of the story, which we will cover today. Solomon says, we are given everything. So do you feel like you are given everything? Because this is how we are trying to read this story. When the verse is talking about Solomon, David, it's talking about different aspects of me. The Creator talks about me in a sense. Or let's take it the other way around and say that, let's not take it exclusively as a historical story, but rather my Maker is telling me something that is relevant so much to me that it's not only I'm going to get bits and pieces of somebody else's story, but it's a story which covers my life here and now. So do I feel like, when I see this, do I feel like I am taught the speech of birds and I am given everything? What does it mean to be given everything? Any comments? Let's start taking some comments. Otherwise I keep talking. Brother Burkhan, you made a comment last week.
So the question, am I given everything? So I guess the answer is like a straightforward, easy to say yes. Like I can speak, for instance, right now, which means I can make communication with a connection with people, with every creature. She can touch me. She can make such a connection. When you think about the connections that you can make with the universe, rest of the universe, it's impossible to count the ways that you can make connections. You can see, you can hear, you can think, you can love, you can hate. All infinitely many connections that we have, meaning all like infinitely many things we are given through the universe, so constantly.
To ask it, maybe make the question more specific. For example, are you given sun? Can you say that I am given sun, for example, like the yellow thing in the sky?
Oh, sun. I'm just given daughter, so. But other than yes, like I'm walking. I actually felt that, like seriously, like I was walking. Probably it was a cold day, so I was a little bit upset at the time. I was thinking, and then I realized that the sun was caressing, like a caressing. Okay. Now I'm given like a knowledge of English as well. Touching my face, right, softly, make it more romantic. Sun was touching my face, as if telling me, like, Birkan, I'm here for you, like illuminating your day. What else you want? Like if somebody is taking care of you just to illuminate your path. So yes, I'm definitely given sun. And I'm specifically giving sun. Like I don't know about the others, maybe you also are given sun. Like for me it's so real that somebody put sun there for me. The same person also, same thing, same person also put moon for me there too. Because I was just enjoying moon. So everything is there for me.
So that as much as I realize that the whole existence is, as I can interact with everything, and everything speaks to me specifically, everything has a message to me. It might also have a message to this gentleman over here, but specifically to me as well. Then everything is also given to me independent of it being given to him. But if I'm aware of that, I might be living heedlessly and I might say that, well, I don't even notice sun is there, or there's no message that the sun tells me, or I can take it as you were taking it. Somebody is loving me, caring me, so that he made me interact with the sun, because it's enlightening my eyes, touching my skin and everything, warming me up. So in this case, Solomon is aware that everything is given to him. He is taking it as a personal communication. It is specifically given to him. And he's also talking about, we have been taught the speech of birds. And last week when we were discussing this part of it, we said, birds tell me something. And if I pay attention, I can interact with them and learn from them. So one of the examples that we gave before, two lovers, for example. Boy gives a rose to the girl. And the girl understands from the speech of roses, because rose is speaking something. It carries a message, and when the girl takes the rose, she understands the message and becomes happy. So we are being spoken to through birds, we are being spoken to through sun, through a breeze, or spring is coming. All the flowers are going to be given to me, not only a single rose, but the whole spring is going to be given to me. So what does it tell me? I need to ask this question. What does this bird, what does this flower tell me? What is the message that it gives me? And Solomon says, we are taught speech of bird. So I need to ask the question, am I taught speech of birds? How can I understand what birds say? So, وَحُشِرَ لِسُلَيْمَانَ جُنُودُهُ مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ وَالطَّيْرِ فَهُمْ يُوزَعُونَ. And there were assembled before Solomon his hosts of invisible beings, or his armies of invisible beings, and of men and of birds. And then they were led forth in orderly ranks. Again, we are talking about a king, but who is a messenger king? So this gentleman is also a king, or at least can be a king. I can be a king. But what sort of a king can I be within the definition of prophet with the messengership that we were talking about? And what sort of an army is that you make an army out of birds? I mean, last week we were saying that if you make an army out of elephants, it would make sense. But, I mean, these birds they themselves are very fragile creatures. What are you going to achieve with those birds? if the purpose is to kill someone or take over some land. It doesn't make sense. This is why at this discussion we are not taking the story literally. So if I am going to be the king, what does it mean to have an army of birds and invisible creatures and men? And those are within orderly ranks. Let's underline the word orderly here. And just to remind again, at the beginning of discussion we said that the job description of messenger is the person that fights with darkness, that fights with meaninglessness in this life. So with that army, messenger and we are supposed to fight against darkness. So with the birds and humans so I need to form an army, and with that army I'm going to attack meaninglessness in my life. If somebody comes up and says that, if I ask the question, what's the purpose of my life? Where am I going? And those questions starts showing up, especially as you start graduating. Because up until you graduate, you feel like the path is already laid down in front of you. So you have to take these classes, that classes. And then once you graduate, road ends. I remember when I graduated, I truly felt like I'm going to die this summer. I went to the hospital, went through a checkup, nothing was abnormal. But later on I realized that I have never felt like, throughout my life, the path was always there. Somebody has drawn the path for me, like the government of education already laid down everything, then my family put a few more, and once you finish that, what happens? So the road has finished. So what am I going to do with these armies now that meaninglessness is starting to pop up? Now that I start truly questioning what's the purpose of my life, where am I going to with this? Because I thought graduation was the highest one. Now that I graduated from this best university, whatever, it's just a paper in my hand. It's not taking me anywhere. So what am I supposed to do? So this is the question. How do you fight with meaninglessness through an army of birds? What does it mean? So let's keep that in mind, that question. So birds are going to be important in this fight, apparently. So it looks like in his special case, Solomon understood the message that the birds were carrying to him. For example, in my personal life, there are certain topics with which I make sense of this existence more than anything else. For instance, please. Don't play with the girl. You're distracting me. Sorry. Okay. So, don't be child with child. So in my life, for example, it might be that you are, let's say you have a adorable child, and then you get to sense, wherever you observe mercy, you immediately understand it. For example, before having your child, you might be a young person, strong person, going to gym. Then wherever you see let's say, a strong horse, it attracts your attention because your focus is on strength and power, and a good horse with like all these beautiful body attracts your attention. After having like a child, then you start seeing mercy. When you see a cat and a kitten, it starts just boiling your heart more than it used to. So in the case of Solomon, he was dispersing darkness in his life through whatever he learned, he heard from birds. It might be something else for you and me. For me, let's say the topic of causality, which my friends knows that I was obsessed with it. So this topic is with which I look at universe and I find my maker, my creator, and it saves me from my darkness, something specific. I would say this is in my army. This topic, this perspective is like a strong weapon which clears the darkness and makes life meaningful for me. But while Solomon was in this case, he went through حتى إذا أتوا على واد النمل, when they come up on a valley full of ants, or valley of ants. And ants are something like insignificant apparently, because you are now the king of birds and you're entering into valley of ants. قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يهتمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون. When Solomon enters to this valley, he hears one of the like the queen of ants, or a female ant, shouting to other ants, "O ants, enter into your dwellings." So otherwise Solomon is going to crush you without noticing you. What does this mean? When I'm going through life, let's say with some topic which is heavy, like causality, do causes create effects, such a heavy philosophical topic, let's say, then although this might be enlightening my path, I might be overlooking for a lot of orderly things within existence as well. Maybe I am ignoring the fact that every spring, every tree is blooming for me as a manifestation of, as a show of love of my Maker. My Maker loves me, and He shows His love to me through sending me flowers every spring, countless number of flowers. And I might be ignoring or just overlooking it. In this case, Solomon was coming into the valley of ants, and the ants are saying that maybe Solomon is going to overlook you, not notice you. There are a lot of things happening in this existence which I overlook, since I am obsessed with looking at it from that perspective. A lot of things I am missing. And a lot of things that I'm missing, although seemingly insignificant, has a dwelling, has a social life. Ants has a social life. Under the earth is a magnificent life, a magnificent order taking place. Going back to my example, in the spring, a magnificent show is taking place. Although I am looking for this flower cannot happen by itself, this and that, I'm just trying to make a reasoning to arrive to the conclusion that the flower is being created by God. Maybe this is my perspective looking at it. But on the other hand, there is love being manifest over there as well, which I might be missing. So, but Solomon is aware of that. He hears the call of this ant. This is an important part. So, what this tells me, try to hear everything. Do not miss things in this existence. Do not overlook things. Everything is carrying a message to you, from the bird that flies to the ant that is just under your feet. The whole universe, the whole existence, the coffee that you drink in the morning, or the person that honked you when you were trying to pass the street, everything in this existence is meaningful. Don't overlook them. See the order within them. And this is the response of Solomon to this. It says, فَتَبَسَّمَ ضَاحِكًا مِنْ قَوْلِهَا. So he just smiled joyously at her words. وَقَالَ رَبِّ أَوْزِعْنِي أَنْ أَشْكُرَ نِعْمَتَكَ الَّتِي أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيَّ وَعَلَى وَالِدَيَّ وَأَنْ أَعْمَلَ صَالِحًا تَرْضَاهُ وَأَدْخِلْنِي بِرَحْمَتِكَ فِي عِبَادِكَ الصَّالِحِينَ. And he says, O my sustainer, inspire me so that I may forever be grateful for those blessings of yours with which you have graced me and my parents, and that I may do what is right, that will please you, and include me by your grace among your righteous servants. So I will quickly go through this one, although there are a lot of details here. Solomon is aware that he has been granted like his parents were granted. And he is also thankful for being able to hear the voice of this ant. He is not again saying that I heard the voice, but he is being given the understanding of speech of ants as well. He is thankful for that. He is not boastful of that. He is thankful of that. Because with the knowledge that is given to me, the knowledge of God, not the knowledge of math, with the knowledge of God, I might be boastful. Or I might be thankful as well. So what Solomon in here is just showing us is also being aware that this consciousness of the meaning of existence is being given to me as a gift, for which I should be thankful. Now we are getting into the story. This was supposed to be a quick recap. It took 30 minutes. That quick, I am sorry. So, وتفقد الطير فقال ما لي لا أرى الهدهد أم كان من الغائبين. And one day he looked in vain for a particular bird among the birds. And so he said, how is it that I do not see the hoopoe? Or could he be among the absent? So he's looking for a specific bird. لأعذبنه عذابا شديدا أو لأذبحنه أو ليأتيني بسلطان مبين. If so, if he is among the absent ones, I will punish him most severely or will kill him unless he bring me a convincing excuse. So this is an interesting verse now. What do you think is special about this bird? What does this bird signify in your own life? So, among several birds, he is picking up on one of the birds. And he says, where is this bird? I cannot see that bird. The bird used to be in his army, but now he is not able to see this bird. And when he is not able to see the bird, he becomes angry. And he says, if that bird is absent, although he was supposed to be here, I will punish him most severely or will kill him. It's getting even more brutal. Unless he bring me a convincing excuse for his absence. Okay, what do you understand from that? What is such specific birds in your life which had been part of your army for darkness, which was showing you meaningfulness in your life, and that at some point when you are going through your army, so what makes you find truth? You are going through the arguments that you come through, or you are going through the things that you say, oh, because of this, life becomes meaningful, there must be an afterlife, there must be a God. There are such because things on which you rely on to prove something to you, to become like convinced. But at some point you're going through them again when you're by yourself and you realize that one of them is absent.
I would say in general, if I'm going through like a difficult situation, then I expect the help of God. And if I don't receive it, I'll get upset. Where are you? I pray and I do this and that, and why aren't you looking out for me?
Yeah. So this is a good point. Let's say, but I will add one thing in there. So let's say your prayer used to be a source of conviction for you, if it is. So, but one day you find that you're praying again, but that prayer is not giving you the same satisfaction it used to give before. Or let's say in my case, let's say I was always questioning if when I observe a cause and an effect, like a tree and a fruit, let's say, and I used to make the questioning, can this effect, this fruit, come out of this tree? Like the examples that we gave so far a lot, you see, let's say, a birthday cake on your table, and in the house is only a dog. And you say, can this dog make this birthday cake? No way. Then you say, then there must be somebody else who knows that today is my birthday, who knows that I love chocolate cake, this and that. Dog is not this, so dog cannot be the maker. Likewise, I observe a tree and a fruit. I say that, oh, the fruit is delicious, perfectly fitting my taste buds. But the tree doesn't know me, the tree doesn't love me, none of them. So the tree cannot be the maker of this fruit. So let's say this is my line of thought when it comes, this is my hoopie, this is my bird, this is my perspective when it comes to trying to understand who is the maker. But one day, let's say, I have a car accident. Then I cannot make sense of it. I cannot find who made the accident. I think like the guy who hit me, who was drunk, did the accident. It's not like God made the accident. I couldn't go anywhere. It looks like this stupid man did it. And it's just meaningless. How come he does this? That person should be punished severely. And this is totally meaningless thing that happened to me. Now my car is totaled and then I go through the insurance and this and that. So a lot of meaninglessness. So my bird is absent now. I couldn't make sense of this thing with the procedure that I used to make sense of everything before. So my bird is absent. So I become angry with my bird. It didn't help me. It didn't help me fight with this new enemy. New enemy being an meaningless thing happened in my life. And my moments are wasted, my money is wasted, my life is wasted. And this makes me angry, right? When you're angry with such a thing, do you say something like that? I will punish him most severely or will kill him unless he bring me a convincing excuse.
May I ask something? Does anybody speak Arabic here?
Arabic?
Yes.
I don't.
You know?
I don't speak
Oh,
Arabic.
okay.
I do.
Okay. I was looking for the meaning of the word sultan, right? It would be sultan mubin. So it's translated as excuse. Some people translate it as reason. But is it more like a, I don't know, like a evidence or explanation? Something that, I don't know, illuminates what is like in front of you or something like that? Or am I
Does it
just
make
making
sense?
up?
I think I would go with your description if I were to look. You're talking about mubin.
No, the sultan. Mubin is like a clear, right? Clear, something like clear evidence, clear news, clear, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like translating it as excuse, it has a, I guess, connotation like a, the translator is already convinced that this is a historical narration in which there is a bird, a real bird, which is missing. So it should come with an excuse. Why you were not here.
But if he comes with a convincing explanation
Yes.
of what's going on, then he's going to be okay with it. And I guess the way I feel is, let's say there was this procedure that I applied to everything and it was illuminating my darkness. Now in this new case, if it doesn't work, how do I feel? Then I was mistaken with my methodology because it was supposed to enlighten me in here as well. Either it should enlighten this as well, or I am done with it. I'm not going to use it anymore because it's not working. It should be enlightening. So this is why Sulaiman is being angry with, or this is being explained in this tone. If it doesn't work, then it has no use for me. If this way of thinking, if this way of looking at things doesn't enlighten things in my life, then I was mistaken about it. Does it make sense so far? Go ahead.
I guess the same way, going with your explanation, like when we look at the part when he says, I will punish him, which is like azab, right? Azab shadid, which is used in Quran several places. Like our Creator says, when you are a disbeliever, let's put it in short, if you are a disbeliever, you will taste punishment, he says. If you are whatever, if you don't believe hereafter, you will taste azab, punishment. Or I guess the rest is just killing or cutting him, anyway, chopping him.
Chopping of head, yeah.
So, so the way I understand the other verses as well, like you will taste punishment, or I will punish the bird here in the case. So I always try to read Quran with the definition that it provides for itself. So Quran defines itself as this is a book of guidance, which is a good news. This is how we started Surah Nam, right? It was starting as these are the signs or ayah of the book, which are guidance and good news. So how tasting punishment in the case of being disbeliever can be a good news? Because sometimes from moment to moment I find myself, not someone else, but myself in the state of disbelief. Right? I am believer, alhamdulillah, in the general sense, let's say, but something happens in my life, something bad happens in my life. I have a fight with my boss, for instance. I become a disbeliever in the sense that I think whatever happening here is out of order. It's happening there by itself, my boss is doing it. My Creator, who creates everything, kullu shay, right, without any exception, doesn't have any share in this creation, I think, from time to time. So I become a disbeliever. And what happens? My Creator sends me these feelings of dissatisfaction, punishes me with the fire that I have, the anger I have against my boss. Right? To guide me, tell me that your interpretation of the events is wrong. It is not out of order. I am creating it for a purpose. So through this punishment, my Creator guides me into the straight path. So when I read the same, like this verse with the same, understanding of Quran, I guess Solomon or I'm telling this, as you said, the part of my life which doesn't help me anymore. It's useless. I have this money, I have this success, for instance, but it doesn't help me to find my Creator anymore. It takes me out of, it takes me astray. So I say that, look, success that I have, if you're not going to help me to find my sustainer, I will punish you. I will put you in a shape that you will change, but I will not let you alone. I will take you to the right path. If it means that I will become unsuccessful for a moment, I don't care. Like I'm punishing success. I don't care. If you're taking me to my sustainer, take me. If you come with a clear explanation of what's happening, take me there. Otherwise, I will punish you.
Otherwise, I will change your shape,
yes,
so that you become a means to explain me the darkness and make things meaningful.
I will cut your head.
Otherwise, I will chop off your head.
Exactly.
I will get rid of you because you're not helping me. You're not serving your purpose. So the bird comes back. فمكث غير بعيد فقال أحطت بما لم تحط به وجئتك من سبأ بنبأ يقين. But the hoopoe, the bird, delayed but a short while, so after a small while, it came back, and it said, I have encompassed something that you have never yet encompassed. For I have come to you from Sheba with certain news. So, there's this emphasis of encompassing something. The bird is saying that the bird comes with, if you like, an updated ability to encompass meaning of things. Initially, I was able to look at things that much with that perspective. Now, I'm going to tell you something from a wider perspective. You used to take things, or using this way of looking at things, you were making sense of existence. But now, I observed something else, which will require an update on your side when it comes to giving meaning to things. And again, the fight in here is between light and darkness, so meaninglessness versus meaningfulness. I am making sense of this existence, but a new experience comes. And for this new experience, either I will need to expand my perspective and include it in my army and make sense of it, using it, with it, get to know my maker, or stay in darkness. I mean, this can be anything like, let's say, you are doing a certain job. Let's say you graduated from high school, like this gentleman, Emir here. So he is going to graduate from high school, right? No. So he's a first grader, but soon he will graduate from high school. So with the things that he knows up to this point, he can make sense of things to a certain extent. But when he gets into college, he gets into a new department, and the horizons needs to expand. So Hupu come here and says that I came to you with something with a wider perspective. So I encompassed something that you have never encompassed before. I am coming to you with something that's alien to you, in a sense.
So, this is a really great example. If you say, if you can say storytelling. The metaphor is a king conquering lands, and now through a bird, which is part of his army, he will, or we will, conquer something new. That we will experience something we haven't experienced before, conquering a new land. Such a beautiful narration, alhamdulillah.
And this also reminds me of another explanation, another usage of language in Qur'an. So in Surah Al-Mulk, Mulk also means sort of kingdom. In there, the Creator says, send your eyes to look around the universe if it can find any defect. Your eyes will wander around and come back to you, your sight will come back to you and will tell you that I couldn't find any defect. So the bird in here is going somewhere, exploring something, comes back in this example with a new news, saying that I have seen something that you haven't considered before. So if you would like to, it depends, how are you going to take it? Are you going to take it as some unconquerable land, or are you going to look at it from a perspective and include it in your land as well? Land in the sense of, now this new experience, new observation is going to be a means with which I'm going to find more meaning in this existence, get connected to my Creator more, will find eternal satisfaction. Not like I will get squeezed in this moment of life, but rather live a life which is eternal in every moment.
So we gotta get out and run.
Okay.
Basketball game next door.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. I can't put you on. Come on, man.
Bye. See you next week.
I'm gonna,
the next week.
Okay.
Hopefully, but tonight.
Sure.
Inshallah, everybody.
So now the bird says, "Inni wajadtum ra'atu tamlikuhum wa utiyat min kulli shay'in wa laha arshun azim." Now things are getting interesting. The bird comes and says, "I found a queen ruling them. وَأُوتِيَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ." They are also given everything. This is how Sulaiman started. We are given everything. And he says, "I found a queen ruling them. They are also given everything. وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ." And she has a big throne. You think you're a king? She's also a king. So now things are challenging. Because I used to think that in this existence, I look at it from a certain perspective. I am the king in this existence as human. As a believer human, I am the king. What does that mean? With the birds and the sun and the moon and everything is in my army. Meaning that using them, I disperse the darkness, I make sense of this existence. But there seems to be another kingdom out there, which is also making use of the same resources. And things are not working for them the way it works for me.
In a bad or a good way?
Next verse. وجدتها وقومها يسجدون للشمس من دون الله وزين لهم الشيطان أعمالهم فصدهم عن السبيل فهم لا يهتدون. For them, although they are given the same or like given everything, I was given everything, they are given everything. I found her and her people adoring the sun instead of God, or prostrating to sun, adoring like they are taking sun as their God rather than God himself.
Yes, Chief.
And Satan has made these doings of theirs seem goodly to them, and thus has barred them from the path of God, so that they cannot find the right way. So this is exactly the opposite, right? I used to take all these things in my army. They were helping me to disperse the darkness, make the existence meaningful. It looks like they are given everything. And through them, through the things that are given to them, and they also have a throne, we will talk about these in detail, they are prostrating to sun. Now this is a threat. Who is right? Was I deluding myself? Because I used to think that with the knowledge, with the perspective that I have, everything was becoming meaningful. And it looks like there is another person out there apparently using similar tools, arriving to the exact opposite conclusion. So now is the fight between light and darkness. Let's get into a little bit of details of that. So it's not talking about another king in here. Why in this story a female, a queen is being mentioned, do you think? What does it signify? Rather than a mighty king, which would demonstrate power, a female is being mentioned in here, ruling them. What might be the reason?
It's that there's not just one way to rule people. That there's not only through power that you can rule a people. There might be other ways.
Actually, yes.
Compassionate.
In the following verses, which we will not cover today, we will see that the queen is having a conversation or consulting with his knowledgeable people around her. So in here, queen is as if signifying wisdom, knowledge. So it's not that with power somebody is coming against me, but coming against my thought process, my convictions with knowledge. In today's world, how does this happen? Let's say, as a believer, what challenges you most? as a believer, I make use of sun and clouds and everything to find my creator, to go with the living creatures like cells and my body and see how perfectly everything is in order and how they point to a maker, an absolute creator. Scientific community with knowledge and wisdom makes use of the very same tools. It takes a cell, it takes the sun, astronomy. Biology takes the cell and everything. And they have a large throne as well. They have Arshun Azim. There's a big throne. So what does a throne, let's talk about it. What does a big throne signify here?
They have authority.
Authority.
Their word is respected.
And also within a kingdom, what do you see? An order. And the worldview that scientific community is presenting, science presenting, seems to be working within itself. Like there is a kingdom ruling there. And they say that, well, we explain existence and it works, they say. Right? And from here, I was also, as a believer, in my perspective, I was ruling the existence from my point of view, in which birds and mountains and sun and moon and everything was saying that within an order, I was observing that they are being created. They say, no. It's not being created. It is happening randomly or by natural laws. And here are the formulas that we come up with. If you don't believe, try and see. This is, those laws are governing the universe, they say. So, as a believer, I was prostrating to God, but the queen, which is now representing the wisdom in there, is prostrating sun. Another thing that enlightens, but it's not from beyond the existence, it is within the existence. Because when I prostrate to God, the thing that I prostrate is not here. Like not of type of any of this stuff here. But the other one is prostrating to sun, trying to enlighten their path through physics equations, chemistry equations, biological like evolutionary processes, whatever, like those sort of explanations that are within existence, trying to make sense of existence from within existence, or saying that things do themselves. It happens by itself. It changes randomly, but ends up being like this and that. Does it make sense? So, if I found them, I'm just going through the verse again, if you would like to mention any parts. Behold, I found there a woman ruling over them, and she has been given of all things, and hers is a mighty throne. If you would like to add anything, just go ahead, please. And I found her and her people prostrating the sun instead of God. This part we talked about. How about the next part? The Satan has made these doings of theirs seem goodly to them. The things that they do appears to be good to them. Actually, the word is وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ. So as if Satan beautified what they did to their own gaze. It looks now more beautiful. And through that beautification of their actions, فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ فَهُمْ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ. He as if put an obstacle between them and the truth. And then they cannot find the truth. So what do you think about this part of it? Because at the beginning of the chapter we talked about a different way of, at the beginning God was saying that for those who doesn't believe in afterlife, we beautify their actions to them So they go back and fro. This was the depiction there. In here it's a different thing. In here he's saying that because they prostrated to sun rather than God, this time Satan is beautifying. It's not God now. It is Satan beautifying their actions. And because of that, they cannot find truth. In the first one, it was going back and forth. For those who doesn't believe in afterlife, their actions were beautified for them by God, and they were just going back and forth. So they're aware that they're not going anywhere. But there's some sort of a depressive state. In this one, their actions are beautified for them, and because of that, they cannot find truth. So what's the difference? What's happening here? Yes.
So the way I read such verses, is, of course, this is like my personal choice, is when Creator tells me that like Satan beautified or has made thing, I read it as become when you study this, when you try to understand this, or if you follow this path of yours, you will find Satan there. So Satan will be your maker. Satan will be your doer, agent. File in right here. Otherwise, he's not saying that, okay, this part of the creation I create, but that part of the creation I let Satan to create. It's rather from my perspective, if I get lost with the beauty of the things that I achieve against the Creator, denying the Creator, if I get lost in them, through them I will reach Satan and nothing more. Meaning I will reach lies but nothing more. So for you it will be Satan taking care of you, beautifying things, making some other things ugly, but from your perspective. So all the doings of yours, all these doings of yours that seems pretty to you, if you follow them, if you continue doing them in that way, if you deny me, you will end up with Satan, a bunch of lies and nothing more.
So you are then interpreting Satan in here as lies, the things that doesn't have any truth. So this lies or untrue things making their actions beautiful to them. So although their actions are not beautiful, but with lies, whenever I prostrate to sun rather than the Creator, I am trying to see things important or beautiful, although they are not. I'm trying to just say that, let's say I find something, I publish a paper, whatever, and everybody with their job, but I'm trying to, just by telling lies to myself, I am trying to beautify it, although this aspect of it is not beautiful really. I'm trying to come up with, because I am trying to make it meaningful, because human doesn't accept meaninglessness. But if it doesn't have any meaning, what do? You need to come up with some excuse, or let's say, as at the beginning our friend was joking, I want to conquer some land for taking their oil resources. What do? I'm going to bring democracy there, I need to say. I need to come up with a story which is going to cover up me so that I'm not going to feel bad. But in our personal life we do this always. So I mean, in the political arena maybe it's clearer, but in our personal lives we do the same thing.
What was the first example again of Allah beautifying their actions for them? What was the action of the people that they rejected Allah?
So they were rejecting afterlife.
Okay.
So rejecting afterlife means there is no meaning behind things. It's only living the moment.
Okay.
And if I live in such a mindset, where do I find myself? If I'm just living the moment, I'm just trying to think of it this way. If the only thing you have in your hand is your moment, and it's just going away, and you have no future, no past, everything is just the moment, you will try to say that, oh, this is the most important thing, just to soothe yourself. So this is how I find myself in, and I'm trying to make it meaningful, as if it is. And I'm not able to do that either. I go back and fro. So I'm just trying to do that, but I'm failing to do it. In the other case, since I am also denying the source, there is no God, no nothing, in this case, everything is gone for me. The life itself is pointless. Everything is pointless. Then if I take this serious, if I'm truly denying God, truly denying afterlife, then the best option for me is to just terminate my life at this point, because human cannot accept such a thing, like such a meaninglessness. Because every moment, as if you are in a prison and somebody tells you that you are going to be hanged at any moment. You are, what do they say, in a death row. But you don't know when they're going to hang you. Can you enjoy such a prison life? But this is how we are in this world. If we don't believe in God or afterlife or anything, if it is just the moment, we are in a death row. Everybody who is born, including her, is in a death row, and you do not know when they're going to knock your door and hang you. Can you enjoy? So your best bet is just to be ignorant, and okay, don't think about any of these. Just look what's in front of you and try to beautify it so that you're not going to be troubled. So these are the last two verses I would like to cover. We are already 10 minutes late, but still we should do it.
We started late, so
You're good?
you're good, yes.
Okay.
Shaitan tell you that?
So then now Hupu comes with his own perspective though, because Hupu is my eyes, if you like, my perspective. In the first two, this is how they feel about themselves. They are given everything. They have a throne. They don't prostrate to God, but they prostrate to sun and everything, right? Says, Allah yasjudu lillah. As for them not prostrating to God, shouldn't they be prostrating to God? How dare, as if God, الذي يخرج الخبأ في السماوات والأرض ويعلم ما تخفون وما تعلنون. So God, that God is, he comes up with a description of God. Hupu makes a description of God, which is a very interesting description here. So God, he is who brings forth all that is hidden in the heavens and on the earth, and knows all that you would conceal as well as all that you bring into the open. What an interesting description for this bird. Just as a side note. So this type of bird is told to know where the underground currents are. Water, yeah, underground water currents. This bird is given the ability to recognize where the water is flowing from. So this is how this bird knows about the God. Because he says, it's not that I know where the water is flowing from. He says, my Creator taught me under the ground where the things are flowing. So he is the one that knows what's under the earth and at the heavens. And this is how he describes the Creator. So for example, a mother, after motherhood, this feeling of mercy is just as if boiling from inside and gushing forth, right? Then
Drowning her.
mother is given the opportunity to know her creator, saying that, oh, the one who is the source of mercy, who loves the whole universe. Because through love and mercy, he gets to know his creator. She gets to know her creator. Likewise, bird in here is describing the creator as such. But also it's related to the previous part of the story. What do you think? Like in the previous part, the bird observed that those people are prostrating to sun, but not to God. And he is coming up with, if you like, a counter argument, saying that shouldn't they be prostrating to the one who extracts the hidden things, hidden treasures from beneath the earth, from the heavens, and also from within you, like buried within you, or the things that you speak out? How is that related to the previous part?
I would say that if you compare this description of God with the sun can't do any of these things. The sun is weak compared to this God here. And so, I don't know what they found interesting in the sun. It gives you light, warmth, but that's not.
So in our example of sun, it was about, let's say, suns.
Yeah.
So what does science try to do? Trying to unearth the laws of nature, let's say. Trying to dig things and find how the cell is working, what is the mechanism behind it. But the bird is saying that, do you think you are finding things? It is you as a human that is unearthing the hidden things? Or, let's say, neuroscientists come up with new findings about source of consciousness or the seat of consciousness in brain. They're unearthing. So the bird is in here saying that, do you really think that you are finding truth? Or truth is being unveiled to you? How does the process of learning work? How does knowledge is gained? And the concluding verse. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. There's another throne here. The bird concludes saying that God is the one that they do not prostrate is the one who doesn't accept him. There is no other deity. Like the sun that they prostrate to, the natural laws that we prostrate to. We think like this is happening because of gravity. We think like if you study more, you become more successful. This is a law of business, let's say. Rather than prostrating to any of these, none of these are the source of outcomes that you observe, the bird says, or my perspective says. Rabbu al-Arshi al-Azim. The Creator is, to him is the throne. Because in here, this queen had Arshun Azimun. She also has a big throne.
A throne.
A throne, another throne, another big throne. You have some big throne, she has some big throne. Says, Rabbul Arshil Azim, the throne, the whole existence is the kingdom of Creator. Maybe you have heard the movie Kingdom of Heaven. This is the kingdom. So kingdom of God is, the whole existence is kingdom of God. Meaning that he is the one that's ruling here. He is the one that's ruling the birds. Or is he? I mean, my bird, my, let's say, perspective in this case, is going to go through everything in this existence and say that, yes, this whole existence is being governed by one and only Creator. And his is the throne. So throne is, it's of course a metaphor. Let's say Queen Elizabeth of Great Britain had a throne in London, also she would have thrones in her colonies, right? What does a throne signify? It signifies I am ruling here and also in here and also in here. So the whole existence is throne of Creator. So the Creator has a throne in your heart, in my heart. He has a throne in the sun, meaning that the sun is being governed by the one who is governing my heart, the feelings in my heart, who is governing the rain and the breeze of wind and the spring season when the flowers are blooming. So the same one, it's a single kingdom. Al-Arsh al-Azim, it's definite. It's not Arsh al-Azim, just one of the kingdoms out of several kingdoms. Any comments you would like to add so far, please?
You said you were finishing with
Yes,
this.
we will pick it up from here. So this is just the connecting verses.
Okay. I have one point. If you want. So with the last verse, so it's interesting, like almost out of nowhere says, Allah la ilaha illa huwa. It's like, if you take it as a story, even if you just discard this part, nothing would be missing. But if we go to beginning, like this occurred to me right now. If you go to the beginning, when the bird comes and tells me, this new experience comes and tells me, I brought you something that you haven't considered before, and through which I am giving you a clear reasoning or clear explanation of something. And what this new experience the bird brings me is denial. It says, oh, do you know what? It is also possible to have a prosperous life by denying the God. So what kind of news this is, like how it would work for me? At the end, this new experience, the bird tells me that this is how you should use it. Now I'm showing you an alternative worldview in which you deny God, you prostrate, you worship the things within the nature, and at the same time you live a prosperous life. So this is an alternative worldview, which is I see everywhere, right? Now we will go from this masjid to the street. We will see this alternative worldview in front of us. So what I'm going to do with this? What are you telling me this? Like, are you trying to go astray? Trying to make me go astray? The bird says, no, I'm telling you this because this is how you know your God. You know your God through La ilaha illa huwa, meaning I'm giving you this alternative. Now see, this alternative cannot be the truth that you are looking for. See it, say La ilaha to this new alternative. Sun cannot be God. Say it, understand it, then you will find your Rabb, who has the Arsh al-Azim. Throne. Yes.
So this is where now the fight is going to start. Now the two armies are next to each other. Because Solomon looked at his army, he realized the bird was missing. The bird came with the news that there's another army on the other side, and that they are against what you are defending or what you are claiming. So a clash is inevitable. So in the next verses, we will see next week, because Sulaiman is suspicious about what the bird is saying. Are you telling the truth? Maybe you are telling me lies. Maybe what I think as against me. So for example, you might get educated as a computer scientist. Now you enter into a new domain of neuroscience. Okay, so far with whatever I was taught, I was able to conquer the land, meaning that the territories, be convinced that all is coming from the Creator. Now that I'm entering into a new territory, this new system in there is not conquered, is not enlightened for me yet. But I'm reluctant. Is it really, or is it not? So next week we will pick it up from there. So Sulaiman is going to send news to the other kingdom, and will say either fight with me, or first come to me by submission, or I will come and crush you. So we will get to that next week, inshallah.
War of 5 armies, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
2 armies in this case.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.